What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to what will be the last episode of Let's Talk About the League for Split 6. We got finals on the horizon. I am Jeff, joined tonight by current Commissioner Sigtau Infinite and past Commissioner Sigtau Lord. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm good. How you doing, Sigtau Lord?
I am fantastic, Jeff. Pleased to be here. Very pleased.
Well, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. So I guess just to kick things off, looking back at last week's semifinals, we'll go in order. So first series, Phoenix versus Nine Lives. What'd you guys think about this one? I'll start with you, Infinite.
Honestly, I was very pleasantly surprised. I kind of expected it to be a bit of a landslide in favor of Nine Lives. But Phoenix, not only did they perform incredibly well, but they won that first game. So they definitely showed a different side, in my opinion. And really, it kind of boiled down to just the last few moments of each game and a few mistakes for one side or the other. So all in all, very, very good performances, in my opinion.
All right, Sigtau Lord, what do you got for me?
All right. I have to say this was one of the closest sets, I think, the entire split, where they stayed so close the entire time. Game one was decided at 8 minutes. That swung the advantage to the top side, and the top side for Phoenix, and I think that's what they were able to enable that win with. Where game two, they were dead even in gold at 30 minutes, and the game was over at 33 minutes. And I think that is pretty prophetic of the non-lives play style. These guys close out trades in a macro better than any other team in the entire league. The teleports that immediately follow, and in my mind when I was going over this information, guys, it popped into my head. This is their ninth life. As soon as somebody dies in a team fight, and all those TPs and all those group ultimates start coming in for people to die, that's the ninth life kicking in. That's when all of them are coming in, cleaning up fights, or at least breaking even. You got to disengage quick from non-lives, and that just didn't happen in the last two games of that set.
All right. So game three, this was the only of the two semifinals that went the distance. The highlight play, probably the one people probably think about, is the General Wally Baron steal. Now, this might be a little bit preaching here, but for me, I'm a big sports fan, and you hear people a lot of time talk about when a quarterback throws a key interception or somebody strikes out with the bases loaded. People will be they'll exaggerate and they say, "Oh, that lost the game." In my opinion, that's always overused. If you look back at this game three, you see the gold was pretty much even after the Baron steal. So it's not like that lost Phoenix the game. And then also, even if Phoenix gets that, I think, Nine Lives, they had some pretty decent wave clear. I think they survived the push and everything. But I want to get your guys' thoughts, and I'll start with you, Lord, on this one. What do you think of that? Sometimes people over-exaggerating things like that and just the play in general.
I do agree that there is never a single moment in any game or set that decides logistically that you have won or you have lost as a team. But there's momentum. And at that point, when game one and game two had been on the fulcrum of success for either team, us sitting on the edge of our seats waiting for something to happen, that steal, it might as well have been a hammer to the head. Wally was 8-1-11 by the end of that game. Guy was stacked. He had his mental game on point, and that's something you could say for the entire set. So I think this steal, though incredibly miraculous, like not to be underlined, how powerful and strong of a play it was. Wally was in the game the whole time. So big ups to him. But that was the nail in the coffin.
Sure. You have any thoughts on this, Infinite?
Pretty much I'm in the exact same boat. I agree with him on everything you just said. I don't think it was the steal itself. But like he said, the momentum shift, because immediately they were already playing well, and then it's just like they went from the already 10 they were playing at to an 11, and then they were able to shift that momentum. They immediately went down, was able to fight for drag, things like that. Like, no, he's right. That steal itself is not what won them. It's the fact that they were able to snowball off of it and actually keep that momentum to carry them the rest of the way.
Sounds good. All right, awesome. Appreciate the insight. So, for this series as a whole, I mean, Nine Lives, they came into this on an 8-game winning streak. They've, been on top of the standings for quite a while now. And Phoenix, we knew that they had potential. This whole split, people have been, saying they're a contender. Was this series closer than you expected, though, or were you fully expecting 3 nail biters in a row?
Me personally, sorry, Infinite. Me personally, I expected close play, but as someone that played against both teams and tasted the heels of both of them, I got to tell you, I expected close, but I knew that it was going to be a close game. Set 1 when Alonzi Tardis locked in the Zach. That was an unexpected pick on his part. Though the Warwick was banned, and we did see some flexibility this split from him, I think Zach was really showing that this team's willing to commit to team fights, because Zach, that's all you can do. I knew that it was going to be a close set, so my expectations changed immediately at the start of game 1.
All right. Any thoughts, Infinite?
Yeah, I'm kind of inclined to agree. At first, I was hesitant. I've been saying for the past couple weeks, if you ban out Warwick, you have a much better chance against Phoenix, and it definitely seemed to be true. And then, like Siktalord just said, the Zach came out, and they drafted an entire team dedicated around an incredibly strong team fight, and it worked for them. And after that point, I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to be the upset. They're actually going to pull this off. And they came so close to doing it too, so.
Yeah, all right. Agreed, yeah. For me, it was a little closer than I expected, but I had Phoenix right near the top of my power rankings at the start of the split, so it was good to see them show up, even if they didn't quite get across the finish line. Moving on to our second semifinal, a little bit less close. Option 12 versus Northern Storm, 2 seed versus 3 seed. I'll start with you this time, Lord. What were your thoughts on this one?
I got to tell you, game 1, it was this game. I don't like ever thinking that a game was won in pick and ban, but if there was a step before pick and ban, the effective scouting point, Option 12 won this by a landslide. They scouted and understood who they were playing against, and in an incredible turn you don't see much anymore. That was a triple jungle ban, triple roll ban going into this game 1. They read Northern Storm. They knew their strengths, and that was through the strong mobility and constant lane pressure that Token creates, and that they weren't able to translate that very well off a Nocturne. Urgot from Prowler, very surprising, but the 2 things that really caught me that game were Pointy Ball on Jin, ending the game 7-1-9, but what really got me was Sigtal Eternal on Ornn, 1-1-8. This guy has shown in a team of powerhouses that he's the best player on the team just because he's not losing. He's in the roughest lane in the whole league. So much power weighted in the top side, and dude takes Ornn into a Malphite and walks out of lane with just 1 death. Yeah, I call it the best player in the league right there. That's some stuff, I tell you.
I'm going to go ahead and throw in my 2 cents because I'm kind of in the same boat. I think that Option 12, so a lot of people have their own opinions as to what strengths different teams have, but from the start I've said that Option 12 and Northern Storm are very similar. They pull a lot of their strength around their jungler and then being able to make plays around the team. The difference I think is, and it's just like Sigtalord just said, is Prowler just straight up performed better, and Sigtal Eternal is a great example of someone who just performed so much better than I think was expected when teams were designed. When you have a team that meshes so well like that, and you have a player that he knows, and he's told me before that he knows he's going to lose almost every lane matchup, but that doesn't matter because his team has a plan for that, a way to make him useful as long as he can perform, and he does. How do you beat a team like that? Like, it's just so incredibly hard, and the only way Northern Storm had a chance to defeat that is if all of them showed up to the same level that they did, and unfortunately, that just wasn't the case this week. So.
And you guys both talked about the Ornn pick and game 1. Was there anything in game 2 that stood out to you?
Yes, the Rammus pick. I absolutely loved it. I think that was intelligent of them to let the Yi through. During game 1, the Urgot and Prowler is shown all throughout the split. If you put him in the jungle on a tank, you're going to get the exact same performance with just a few less kills than if he plays a carry. And if you watch that game, you can see Prowler made it to the 20-minute mark with 4 deaths and nowhere near the amount of kills. He wasn't at optimal performance, and a lot of that was effective play from Token on Rammus and understanding exactly how to play into that. And Drake's were fairly close as well, if I recall. The other effective point on this was the Ezreal pick from WD Fan. I really enjoy WD Fan when he's playing Caitlyn, arguably one of the best Caitlyn's in the league. But when he was able to self-peel and into this low-range Vayne that's going to require that CC out of the Lux, or at least some kind of engage in order to really maximize that potential, it bought them that mid-game experience. But the real cost of this game was late-game management. You had an Ornn on your team, but you didn't have any champions that could carry any of the enhanced items or benefits that Ornn would give you effectively. There wasn't someone to give that enhanced death cap. There wasn't someone that could really get maximize usage through improved crit. So though you had the Ornn in terms of late game scaling, it was like a gun for a kid. What are they gonna do with it? You don't know what to do with it.
So also to add
an awesome
on to
point.
that, I have a little bit of insider knowledge that kind of helps play into what you just said about drafting the Ornn and then not going through and building a team that can truly maximize it. I know that they had spitballed maybe playing a Blitzcrank Heim bot lane. I know that that's something they very much wanted to try. They wanted to pull it out this week to kind of spin things up. And honestly, whenever they let the Yi through, they picked the Rammus counter. I was like, oh my god, here it comes! Here comes that entire comp. They're gonna say, we don't care if you get Yi, you're not gonna do anything with him. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Heim Blitz bot also would have been pretty good against the Yi and would have been able to better utilize the Ornn items as you were talking about. So.
I would agree, but I will provide the counterpoint that goes from one of the best self-peeling ADCs with an incredible CC-based support to an engaged support and probably one of the slowest, most immobile champions in the game. So Yi might have came on board earlier, maybe they could have shut it down, but I think it still would have been a coin flip. I don't know if the entire comp is what I would change, but just one late game carry that would have been able to maximize the efficiency of that Ornn, I think would have changed everything.
Now, you guys talked about the Master Yi. One thing I did think was interesting was that Northern Storm, they did let through some key picks that Option 12 has been, that they enjoy, that most people ban. First, in Game 1, it was Gregosaurus's Morgana, which is often banned at him. They didn't do that. And then the one we were just talking about, Master Yi, in the Game 2. They did have, I agree with you, that they had, obviously, a strategy come up with the Rammus. You saw Rammus and Ornn both with double Thornmail. But at the very end of that game, yes, Prowler was kept down, but at the very end of that game, that last team fight, Prowler carried that fight. That was the classic Master Yi late game fight. So even if you having seen that, if you could go back and say, this Rammus is a good idea, would you still agree with that logic?
I would. I don't think the issue was the Rammus pick. I think that they picked smart. I think that they knew what they were doing. I'm going to be honest. I don't feel like they practiced it, though. I don't feel like that's something that they were like, hey, this is something we're going to do. Let's go ahead and play it a few times, even if it's not against a Yi. You know, obviously, if you're going to play, you can't guarantee the enemy person picks Yi. But it just kind of felt to me that they had picked that to shut down the Yi and didn't really know how to use it.
I agree, and I'm not trying to cut you off there. I have a bad habit of opening my mouth before I'm ready to talk. The issue that I have is if we were going to make changes with regard to expecting the Master Yi in Game 2, I think the thing that they should have maybe prepared for better isn't the Yi, or even they should have prepared another mobile jungler that had the ability to control objectives. If we look at the bans against Token, that's Nunu, which I believe is his highest success rate. Hecarim, which after week 1, I don't think he got it a single time. And what was the third ban? I accidentally closed the window. Just 1 second. Let me open it back up, folks. Just give me a second.
You're talking about Game 2?
Yeah, Game 2. It's the same bans both games, so it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Zach. The guy's hyper-mobile jungler, and yeah, Rammus is fast, cool, but what does he do with that? He ganks. There's no real objective control. And if you look at the games that they've been successful on, with the exception of Olaf game that they won, Token won a game with Olaf that I think that, I don't like the idea that he was carried, but it definitely was his most effective performance. He's a hypermobile jungler who needs some objective control, and that just wasn't provided. This comp didn't do anything after laning phase. It survived, it ganked a few times, but once laning was over, that was it.
Yep, I agree.
All right, sounds good. So let's move on then. Let's look ahead. We got finals coming up this weekend. The pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that only one team will get to find. To start off with, I want to get your guys' takes on ban priorities. So first of all, for option 12, if you're 9 lives, what are the first 3 champions you ban and why? Infinite, you go ahead.
Well, I don't think 9 lives is gonna draft an entire team and try and like give Prowler Yi and just.
Think you might have cut off there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I did accidentally hit my mute button. Yeah. Anyway, I don't think they'll give him Yi. I think they'll cut that off just so they don't have to deal with it. You can't really ban out most of the other lanes. So if you're already dedicated to banning Yi, my opinion, kind of steal a page from option 12's playbook. Just put as many bans towards Prowler to put him on something he's not going to be as effective with. You really can't ban out any of these players.
Okay. So for your other 2, you thinking what? Maybe like Nocturne, something else?
Nocturne would be a good choice. So Yi, Nocturne, and probably Hecarim.
Sure.
Just champs that are going to make it hard for Reluxus and Wally to snowball like they like to do. And then, because that's really what they want to do. They want to snowball, get themselves some leads, and then dominate once they start getting into team fights, start being able to teleport in, split push, things like that. So essentially taking away a bunch of the jungle options that can prevent you from getting ahead by constantly harassing your lane, I think is probably going to be one of the better options for them.
All right. How about you, Sigtal Lord? What would your 3 bans be against option 12?
My 3 bans against option 12, it's going to be the Yi, it's going to be Lux, and it's probably going to be Gangplank. Oh, sorry, against option 12?
Yeah, against option 12, sorry.
Oh, okay. So option 12, I would ban the Yi, I would still ban the Lux, and then Not the Morgana. I think I think that the LCUS misread that meta, and I still don't agree that it's a priority ban, even though people continually ban it against Gregosaurus Rex. There's really no need. And then maybe the Nocturne if you're worried about that engage, but even then I think there's a smarter play.
Okay. All right. So we're still in agreement. At least we're all in agreement that the Yi should be on there. What about for 9 lives? Sigtal Lord, you can go first on this one. If you were option 12, what would your ban priorities be?
If I were option 12, trying to ban out 9 lives, I would target the Ezreal. Yep. I would potentially target Volibear. It just depends on what you're looking to pick in the jungle. Slack is a very good volley and understands his pathing and objective control very well. So that would put you in an advantage. And then probably another Wally pick. I don't think that you can effectively ban out Rolexus, and the worst thing you can do is put him on a 3rd pick, because that's his kingdom. He's the dictator of top lane in this finals. He sets the pace of the game. So you ban him out, you're just going to be putting him on a carry or something, or Gangplank, which would be even worse, because then he could potentially win lane and enable the other lanes to do it. So no, just let him be. Let them try to pick around the other lanes where you can get success. Do what you do best when you're option 12. Leave top lane alone.
All right, sounds good. Infinite, what about you? What do you see as the most important bans against 9 lives?
I agree with 2 of his 3. Ezreal for sure. General Wally plays him so well. It's incredible to watch. Then Volibear, I actually think that is a high priority in my opinion, for the reasons that Sigtal Lord said. I think that's just something you want to take off the table. It's like with Alonzi. Warwick obviously wasn't his only dominant jungler, but he was so comfortable and he got to play it so much that anytime he did play it, he was outperforming anyone he was against. And I feel like that's the same situation here with the Volibear. So get that off the table. For my 3rd one, this is where we disagree. I actually think you take off either. I think a lot of people would say Gangplank here. I actually think Camille. And the reason I think that is because Sigtal Eternal does really well at holding his own and playing safe, relying on a little bit of help, and waiting till later in the game to have good team fight effectiveness. But Rolexus, although very aggressive on a lot of his top laners, his Camille it's unbelievably aggressive. It's so aggressive, and I don't think Eternal's going to be able to play safe with Rolexus playing Camille. I think that he's gonna snowball like crazy on that champ, and I mean we've already seen a game where that happens. So that would be my 3 probably.
All right, cool. So I guess let's just get it out of the way then. I was thinking about saving this for the very end, but since we're on the subject, I'll start with you this time, Sigtal Infinite. Bottom line, who wins? What's the final score line, and why?
Oh man, I think it's going to be close. I think we're going to see 5 games. I think it's going to be in favor of 9 lives at the end, though. I think it's going to be back and forth over and over, but I do think that 9 lives is going to be able to keep the momentum and end up pulling some craziness out and end up winning this overall.
All right, so we got Sigtal Infinite predicting a 5th game. What about you, Sigtal Lord?
I'm calling a 5th game. I'm not putting it to any kind of skill level. It's wishful thinking. I want a quality product, and I don't like my time wasted. 5 games doesn't waste my time. I believe in these teams. I'm calling for the Silver Scrapes. I do think it's 9 lives winning, but I'm not going to take my time and beat that dead horse. If you want to see what I think will happen, look back at week 3, 9 lives versus option 12. Check it out on the Reddit, reddit.com/r/LCUS. Go follow it. Check out that match line. You can see what outcomes I expect to happen there. I don't expect anything different. I want to take this time and say, ignore the game stats, option 12. Put them away. You don't need them. You got the story buff. You're the clear underdog. Thrive on it. Set yourself up for success. I had said earlier, ignore the top lane. You know what? You don't have to do that. Pressure top. Give Eternal the opportunity to give true skill expression. Check his op.gg, folks. You're going to see. I want to see some Garen. I want to see some successful top lane. I want to see Gregosaurus Rex actually be the Rex. You know what Rex stands for, Infinite?
Enlighten me.
Well, I knew you didn't know. But it's king.
Yep.
It's king. We're getting ready to see the battle of the Rexes in the mid lane, and one of them's going to walk away. Gregosaurus, put your crown on, homie. It's time to play. And this bot lane, Pointy Ball has consistently shown the second that you enter lane, he's ready to go. I think this is going to be probably the best matchup for the entire set is going to be bot lane. Elizabeth, I think, has really blown me out of the water with expectations. I didn't expect some of the ability with skill shots that I'd seen, because mainly I've seen like her Warwick and stuff, but she's really put the business on most people in these lanes. It's finals. Come on, show up. Give us you got the story buff. You're the underdog. We're not going in with any expectations you're going to do well. So just prove us all wrong. Don't get caught up in the ninth life. No matter what, the biggest piece of advice I can do. You see that TP going in? Blow your flash. Use the ghost. Got that TP open? Shoot it. You can make it out in time probably. Don't stay for the cleanup, because they're going to get you.
All right. Well, first of all, I gotta say I love the inspired speech. That was awesome. Felt like I was watching like a Disney sports movie. But just to put a little capstone on that. All that being said, Sigtal Lord, you are picking 9 lives.
Oh yeah. Without a doubt, there's no way to ban out 2 of their players. It's a game of rock paper scissors, and they brought extra of each. So
that was my favorite motivational speach for a team that someone didn't think was going to win. That was amazing.
I love that. It felt like he walked into O12's locker room, gave that speech, and as soon as they walked out to go on the field, he was like, "They're so effed."
All right, awesome. Well, we can revisit finals in a little bit, but I also wanted to take a chance to talk about the patch that just came out today. That finals will be played upon. Was there anything in particular, I'll start with you, Sigtal Lord, that jumped out of these patch notes for you that you think might affect finals?
Well, I mean, the game's finally playable now that Amumu's ultimate doesn't root and disarm people, but it stuns them, because there's an effective difference. So this game's now playable. Everyone enjoy League of Legends once the patch hits. The Ashe change, where her arrows scale with her, that's huge. I think that there could be some opportunities for these dynamic bot lanes that I just bragged about to bring that out. Go ahead, look into it, folks. It's gospel. You're going to want to pick that Ashe.
All right. Infinite, anything jump off the page at you?
Not to beat a dead horse, but the Ashe definitely in a time where it's already hard to pick really strong ADCs, and we've said that for a while now. Ashe being one of the stronger ones during this time, and then they make that change. Yeah, I kind of feel like she, we talked about some of the bans that we would give. I think those were mostly for Game 1. I think Game 2, Ashe will probably be banned, because someone's probably going to pick her and realize how strong she is. Other than that, right. I don't really think there are any that are super impactful. Maybe Sejuani, but other than that, nah, I don't think so.
All right, awesome. Well, are there any other thoughts that you guys wanted to share on our upcoming finals matchup before we move on to our little epilogue questions?
I think Sigtal Eternal should consider playing Zillion in top. He should pull a Huni. You guys think I'm joking. You think I'm joking. But if he hits 6, and all he has to do is farm under tower, you have to have 2 ultimates to kill him. you've effectively stopped a lot of the champion farming that Rolexis is going to have. So take that to heart, option 12. That's the only free advice you get. Next set, you got to pay for.
Anything else from you, Infinite, on the subject of finals?
I don't necessarily disagree with Sigtal Lord there, but I also am pretty positive he's never in his life played that champ, so maybe don't listen to that advice. Just saying, it could end up really bad.
When Hooney played Ziltop, he had never played it either. And look at it, he's Hooney.
I think there's a little bit of a difference, but who am I? I'm just here.
Absolutely the same thing. Absolutely the same person. All right, love it. All right, awesome, guys. Well, we got a few questions from the community here to wrap things up for this episode, and I guess this split, actually. The first one, I'll just let you answer this one, Sigtal Lord, since it pertains to you. Someone apparently got a fan club. Somebody wants you to be a special guest caster for the finals. You want to tell them what's going to be going on?
Yes, and Jeff, we don't call them fans, we call them worshipers. But folks, I will be running the analyst desk between games this weekend, so please make sure stick around between games. That's where you're going to get the charisma. That's where you're going to get the looks and some hard-hitting analysis. So I'm pretty hyped for it.
Awesome. And let's see, this is one actually that is addressed just to you, Sigtal Infinite. So we got a couple for each of you guys. Do you ever see yourself returning as a player in the LCUS?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I put in the notes maybe if I ever learn how to play League of Legends, but I don't know. It kind of just depends. It depends on if I ever actually dedicate my time to learning a role good enough to have more than 2 champs. You can't really go into this being a Kai'Sa one trick and hope to do well. So,
yeah, I was gonna say I haven't played myself. It just seems like a lot of work.
Yeah,
I already have a job. Like I'm good.
Yep.
And for both of you guys, actually, I'm going to modify this one a little bit. You guys are both, Infinite, you're our current commissioner. Sigtal Lord, you are an ex-commissioner. Do either of you guys or both of you guys see yourselves being interested in doing another split at the helm of the LCUS? Infinite, you can go first.
I heard you breathe. You were about to. Honestly, this also kind of depends. I've enjoyed it. It's been fun. And for the most part, it's really not as much work as I imagined it would be. Thank you to Ace for holding my hand through a lot of this. But it still does take up a lot of time, and there still were quite a few moments where it felt like the community, they don't, I said it's not a ton of work, but I think there's a lot of people that think it's zero work. And so that can kind of get annoying to constantly hear, people complain, and it's like, well, maybe. Sure. So I don't know. It kind of depends.
All right. Well, speaking from myself, and I think probably the majority of people, at least, if not the vast majority, we have very much appreciated the time that you've put in this split. Sigtal Lord, how about you? Do you see yourself wanting to come back to this role?
After doing it for 4 times, I really never consider myself as left. I'm more like the Putin of the LCUS. I just manipulate everything through satellites. No. If I don't play, I'm having fun playing. I've casted, I've made content, I've helped with team creation, I've done so much for this league. But the most rewarding and most difficult job that I ever had was as commissioner. So anybody that thinks that Jareth didn't do anything, Infinite didn't do anything, or it's a cake job, you have no idea. And if he's a good commissioner, you never will. So you did great, Infinite. You should be proud.
Thank you. Also, you should cast again. My God, it's so entertaining hearing you cast. I know you just said you might commission again if you're not a player, but oh man.
I'm like garlic. I'm absolutely delicious, but too much of me and you ruin the dish.
I will say myself as well, I very much enjoy your casting, Sigtal Lord. Let's see, we got 2 more questions here. Which one do we want to take first? Let's go with this split overall was pretty short. Seems like it was just a flash in the pan, went by really quick. you guys have both been around the LCUS for a while. Do you feel like this split being pretty short affected things in one way or another? Do you think there were certain teams that benefited? Any particular thoughts on that? I'll start with you, Sigtal Lord.
Everyone benefits in terms of pick and ban. It's easier to pick and ban in a short split because you don't see major meta shifts. When we had splits that had off weeks, and like, oh Lord, we had one split where it was like before Halloween all the way till past Christmas. The meta shifted like 4 times. So yeah, it was absolutely miserable playing through that, and even casting through it, because I think it was the Drake change. Like, felt like it was right at the beginning, or like right at the end of the split. But yeah, shorter splits definitely help with pick and ban. I don't think they're good for team morale, because after week 2, oh man, you either feel hopeless or top of the world. There's no middle.
All right, Infinite, any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with the last part of Sigtal Lord's assessment. I think that, honestly, I think longer leagues, longer seasons are better, just because exactly what he said. If you start off rough, if you're a team that definitely has all the pieces, but, it's going to take a couple weeks of figuring out how to piece it together before you start, combining as a cohesive team. By week 2, if that hasn't happened, it's so hard to bounce back. You only have, 4 weeks left, and So I think for teams that are lucky and just mesh well right out the gate, it's a benefit. And for anyone else, it's an absolute disaster for them.
All right. And then lastly, we're going to get back to the subject of finals a little bit. Let's see. Oh, can't see. This is for all of us, I guess. I'll start with you on this one, Infinite. If you were explaining to a person who hadn't watched the LCUS, wasn't familiar with either team, how would you describe 9 Lives and Option 12 to them?
I would describe 9 Lives as if you took some of if you took some of the people off of your friend list who you knew were like the person that always wants to play ranked with you in duos and carry you to higher ranks. If you took a bunch of them, put them on a team, and then made them figure out how to work well together, and then they did. That's 9 Lives. And Option 12 is if that friend group that you play with all the time just decided to go ahead and play League and do it competitively, and then it worked out well for them. That's Option 12.
All right. What about you, Sigtal Lord? How would you describe these teams to a new observer of the LCUS?
If we're assuming that they know about League of Legends and competitive League, I would say 9 Lives is the LPL. A very aggressive, macro-based play, but each and every player has a firm understanding of the micro, which makes laning very difficult and obsolete at the same time, because they're everywhere at all times. They're the shadow that goes bump in the night. 9 Lives is probably the strongest macro team in the league. Option 12 is definitely the LCK, and I would say they're the LCK around the Ardent Sensor meta, if we're getting incredibly specific. They're not scared of mages. They're not scared of peel. They have incredible communication that allows them to scale into the late game, where they can they effectively peel, they protect, and they know who their carries are and play through them. So definitely the LCK around the Ardent Sensor meta.
All right, awesome. Well, so according to Sigtal Lord, we've got the LCK versus the LPL in the LCUS finals. Just like the World's finals, I suppose. So make sure you guys tune in. This weekend, we will be deciding who will wear the crown in Split 6 of the LCUS. Sigtal Lord, Sigtal Infinite, thank you for joining me tonight. Any closing thoughts from you guys?
I'll go first because I'm self-important and better.
That's why I wasn't speaking. I was just waiting. I knew you'd cut me off if I tried. So
you gotta get in there quick.
You gotta wake up real early in the day to get past old Sig here. I just want to say, where I won't talk about it at finals, this has been an absolute treat of a split. I know my team didn't exactly have the best performance, and I'm excited to improve personally as a player, since I didn't get to talk about my own personal play during this podcast. Everyone on my team We're not only good players, but they're good people, and I'm thankful for the opportunity that I got to play with them. And thank you to the teams and other players that worked with me over the split to help me improve as a player. Thank you, and I hope I can come back stronger for any future Blitzkrieg or whatever team fan I'm on. Thank you.
All right, awesome. Infinite, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I also just want to give out a couple thanks. Thanks to everyone who helps put all this together. As we mentioned earlier, it is a lot of work, and there's certain people that never really get any kind of recognition. You being one of them, actually. But you, Ace, there's a couple others, Kenos. You guys all do a lot of work to make all this happen. So thank you guys. Also, thank you to everyone who's been watching. We've had some pretty high viewer counts. So people are actually, reaching out or promoting or, getting the word out there, and that's awesome. Thank you to everyone who's doing anything like that.
All right. Well, thank you guys again very much for joining me. And yeah, also from me, Jeff, just want to say, echo my commissioner there. There's a lot of people that make this possible, a lot of different hands that go into making this thing run. We'd be remiss. We tried to get Ace himself on the podcast tonight. He politely declined, but got to give a shout out to the man himself who got this all going way back in the day. Make sure you tune in, 5:30 p.m. this Sunday, November 1st. We will be deciding 9 Lives versus Option 12. Who is the champion? Be there.